Hi guys, and welcome to the Stephen King Sematary Club. Hi guys, we are talking about Quitters Inc. today, and this is not a typical Stephen King short story. It's very much based on human nature and the evils of too much power and controlling people. It's not very supernatural. So we open our story with our main character, Richard Morrison, and he runs into an old friend, Jimmy McCann. They used to be kind of like work buddies. They would smoke, drink, talk business, that kind of thing. And Jimmy no longer smokes, and he looks great. His life is in order. You know, he's doing very well for himself. And he gives Richard a card, and it says Quitters Inc. on it. And he says that, you know, if you really want to quit smoking, go to this building, and they will help you. And Richard kind of asks him for more information, and Jimmy is like, I can't tell you. I signed a contract. This raises a lot of red flags, because why wouldn't a company at least tell you some of what they do to help you quit smoking? It's not good. So Richard forgets about it. He eventually pulls something out of his wallet and the business card falls out, and he decides to pursue it. So he goes to the address, and it's very posh. It's an entire floor of a building, so it's very, it's not like a fly-by-night corner office in a little rundown part of town or anything like that. So it gives legitimacy to the building. And he goes in and takes a meeting with a guy. The guy's name is Vic Donati, and he kind of gives him the rundown of what happens here. Quote, "We have no interest in why you want to stop smoking. We are pragmatists." That's on page 213. And so he starts telling him about these things, asking him questions about his wife and his child, and then he tells Richard that they don't accept any money until you haven't smoked for a year, which seems too good to be true, because the likelihood that someone is going to relapse is quite high. Some of the stipulations are as follows. During the first month, he will be under constant supervision, and he will not be aware of it. So Richard is going to be under surveillance, and if he so much as touches a cigarette and smokes it, he will be reported, and then there will be consequences. And it's not that Richard suffers the consequences, his wife will. So it's like an aversion training. And what happens is Vic Donati gets a call from the people who are surveilling Richard. They will grab his wife, take her to this office, and give her a shock treatment without her consent, without her knowledge of any of this. And Richard has to watch it. So that's pretty brutal. So then we just hear about the increasing insanity, because that's bad enough. But they go through 10 offenses in the punishments. So the first offense is that his wife Cindy is shocked. Second offense, Richard will be shocked. Third offense, they both get shocked. Fourth offense, they beat the kid, Alvin. Fifth offense, Cindy and Richard are shocked. The kid is beaten again, and this time Cindy is also beaten. The sixth, seventh, and eighth offenses are different variations on the electroshock therapy and beatings. So I'm guessing a combination of all three of them will be put through some of this. Ninth offense, they will break the kid's arms. And the 10th offense is they give up, and they assume that Richard is the 2% of people who cannot ever be rehabilitated or turned into a non-smoker, and they will shoot him. He will die, because their policy is, no matter how it's done, in some way, you will not be smoking anymore. But even after these offenses, which the guy, Vic Donati, reassures Richard that, you know, most people don't need to go through the level of offenses. But the person will have, quote, random surveillance for the rest of the client's life. That's on page 220. So even after you've managed to get through a whole year of not smoking, you're still going to be occasionally looked in on, you won't know it, and you still run the risk of all these offenses happening, which I find myself wondering, does that change? Like how your emergency contact might change if you end a relationship or get a divorce or something like that. Is his wife always going to be on the hook for this? Or if he gets a divorce and remarried, does that change anything? Not sure. Richard can't get out of this contract that he signed. And of course, they sign it before they know about all these offense violations and their repercussions. And he is irritable and he really wants to smoke, and he keeps himself in check by worrying about his wife, which is the intention of the whole social experiment. But he has a weak moment. He's in a traffic jam. He is annoyed and he's thinking, no one's gonna see me. And he lights up a cigarette that he found in the glove box. He kind of rationalizes in his mind that, well, I told Cindy to get rid of all the cigarettes, and here are some. I am trapped in a car. They're looking at me, basically. I'm gonna do it. It's her fault. Whatever happens to her. So he gets home. Well, first of all, he smokes and he doesn't even enjoy it. He feels horrible and he feels like he's made a mistake, and he quickly gets rid of the cigarette. So he gets home and Cindy is not there. He gets a call and it's Vic Donati saying that they have Cindy and they have business to attend to. He has to come and watch the shocking of his wife. So he goes there, has to watch it. It's very traumatic for him. He is very, very disturbed. She's confused. She has no idea what's going on. She was just taken from her home and given shock treatment. And then afterward, she talks with her husband, Richard. They talk about it, and she is grateful. She's grateful that she could help out. She thinks that his life is so much better now that he's stopped smoking, and she is actually okay with what happened. Totally forgiving. I would have been pissed. Then, the next part of this, Vic Donati calls Richard in, and he's like, I didn't do anything, and Donati's like, yeah, I know. He said, we have another issue at hand. He says, how much do you weigh? Because we have to keep you at a good, healthy weight. And he's going to prescribe him, quote, highly illegal diet pills on page 225. So he sets Richard's max weight at 182 pounds. He's 5'11", and his current weight is 174. So if he goes over his weight, which has to be taken at the first of every month, then someone will be sent to his house to chop off Cindy's pinky finger. This was not in the contract. This is a completely different issue, not a smoking issue. So now he's in a situation where he has to maintain a healthy weight. He cannot smoke. Otherwise, other people will have to pay for his mistakes, at least initially. I guess eventually he gets punished too, aside from the mental anguish of having gotten other people involved in this. But he lives off of this routine for a while, and then 8 months later, he gives the Quitters Inc. card to an acquaintance who needs help in his life. And he was mad at Jimmy McCann for getting him into it, and here he is, he's perpetuating the whole Quitters Inc. thing. 12 months later, he gets a bill from Quitters Inc. for his treatment because he is completely, cigarette-free, so they said they would charge him after a year. And it was $5,000.50. And the itemized part of it is the 50 cents is the electricity that they used to shock his wife that one time. Which is, I think that's a little humorous. 20 months later, he runs into Jimmy McCann again, and he meets Jimmy McCann's wife, who he had never met before. And he realizes after a while that when he shook her hand, it felt weird. And then it occurs to him later that it's because her pinky finger is missing. Which is a nice little addition to the end of the story. I like how they bring that back. Obviously, Jimmy McCann went over his weight goal, and his wife paid the price, and it's just a little thing. Which I don't understand why the overeating thing would be so much more severe than the smoking. The first offense for smoking was someone gets shocked. They don't get pieces of their body taken off. That seems very extreme for the first offense of overeating. It's easier to lose a few pounds than it would be to quit smoking. So even as a non-smoker, I can appreciate the fact that, people are addicted to cigarettes, and this would be a terrible situation to be in, where you are constantly worried that if you relapse, if you have a weak moment, you are just screwing over someone that you love. It's interesting what we'll do for other people, like the fact that, for instance, Richard was upset with Jimmy. He sees Jimmy, he sees that he is in great shape, he looks good, he's eating better, he is not smoking anymore, he's doing all the things that are good for him, and he wants that for his life, so he wants something to hold him accountable and to be disciplined for, and he was pissed off once he found out that, I've signed this contract and these are the rules, and I don't like the rules, they're really difficult to abide by. And I could see being very upset about that. And then he goes and he does it to someone else. On one hand, he feels like he's helping this acquaintance out by helping him get control of his life and turn his life around, but still, it puts a person in a very shitty position. So I really like the ethics problem that we have with this, and I don't know, it's a very intriguing story to me. It's a very social experimenty type thing. So that is Quitters Inc. Next week is I Know What You Need.